synopsis of the Noli tangere, it contains 63 chapters and an epilogue. It begins with a dinner given in honor of Crisostomo Ibarra by Captain Tiago at his house in Calian Luage on the last day of October. Ibarra is a young and rich Filipino who had just returned after 7 years of study in Europe. He was the only son of Don Rafael Ibarra, friend of Captain Tiago, and a fiancée of beautiful Maria Clara, supposed daughter of Captain Tiago. Ibarra, upon his arrival, produced a favorable impression among the guests except for Padre Damaso, who was rude to him. He tried to discredit Ibarra's remarks. After dinner, Ibarra left Captain Tiago's house to return to his hotel. On the way, the kind Lieutenant Ibarra told him the sad story of his father's death in San Diego. On hearing about his father's sad story, Ibarra thanked the kind Spanish lieutenant and vowed to find out the truth about his father's death. The following morning, he visited Maria Clara, his childhood sweetheart. After the romantic reunion with her, he went to San Diego to visit his father's grave. It was All Saints' Day at the cemetery. The grave digger told Ibarra that the corpse of Don Rafael was removed by order of the parish priest to be buried in the Chinese cemetery. But the corpse was heavy and it was a dark and a rainy night, so that the grave digger simply threw the corpse into the lake. Ibarra was angered by the grave digger's story. He left the cemetery. On the way, he met Padre Salvi, and in a flash, Ibarra pounced on the priest, demanding redress for discrediting his father's mortal remains. Padre Salve told him that he had nothing to do with it, for Padre Damasos, his predecessor, was the parish priest at that time and was responsible for it. Convinced of Padre Salve's innocence, Ibarra went away. Several interesting people Ibarra met in his town. Tasio, the philosopher, the wise old man whose ideas were to advance for his time, so that the people who could not understand called him the Tasio the lunatic. Spines, Gobernadorcillo, catered the wishes of the Spanish parish payar. Don Filipo Dino, Teniente Mayor and leader of liberal faction in the town. Don Melchor, captain of the Cuadrilleros or town police. Don Basilio and Don Valentin, former Gobernadorcillo who were prominent citizens. A most tragic story in the novel is the tale of Sisa, who was formerly a rich girl but became poor because she married a gambler. She became crazy because she lost her 2 boys, Basilio and Crispin, the joy of her wretched life. Captain Tiago, Maria Clara, and Aunt Isabel arrived in San Diego. Ibarra and his friend gave picnic at the lake. Among those present in this picnic were Maria Clara and her 4 girlfriends, Sinang, Victorina, Iday, and Neneng. Aunt Isabel, Capitana Tika, Andeng, Albino, and Ibarra and his friend. One of the boatmen was a strong and silent peasant youth named Elias. An incident of the picnic was the saving of Elias' life by Ibarra from crocodile. Another incident was the rendering of a beautiful song by Maria Clara, who had a sweet voice. After Maria Clara's song, they went ashore. The luncheon was served, and everybody enjoyed eating. After the meal, Ibarra and Captain Basilio played chess, and as Maria Clara and her friends were enjoying the game Wheel of Chance, Padre Salve came and tore the books into pieces, saying that it was a sin to play such a game. Shortly thereafter, a sergeant and 4 soldiers of the Guardia Civil suddenly arrived looking for Elias, who was hunted for assaulting Padre Damaso and throwing the alferez into the mud hole. Fortunately, Elias had disappeared, and the Guardia Civil went away empty-handed. During the picnic also, Ibarra received a telegram from the Spanish authorities notifying him the approval of his donation of a schoolhouse for the children of San Diego. The next day, Ibarra visited old Tasio to consult him on his pet project about the schoolhouse. Tasio was pessimistic about the project of Ibarra. However, the construction of the schoolhouse continued under the supervision of the architect called Nor Juan. Meanwhile, San Diego was merely preparing for its annual fiesta, in honor of its patron saint, San Diego de Alcala. In the morning of the fiesta, there was a high mass in the church. Padre Damaso gave the long sermon in which he expatiated on the evils of the time that were caused by certain men, who having tasted some education spread pernicious ideas among the people. After Padre Damaso's sermon, the mass was continued by Padre Salvi. Elias quietly moved to Ibarra, who was kneeling and praying by Maria Clara's side, and warned him to be careful during the ceremony of the laying of the cornerstone of the schoolhouse because there was a plot to kill him. Elias suspected that the yellowish man who built the derrick was a paid stooge of Ibarra's enemy. True to his suspicion, later in the day, when Ibarra in the presence of a big crowd went down in the trench to cement the cornerstone, the derrick collapsed. At the dinner that night, a sad incident occurred. The arrogant Padre Damaso, speaking in the presence of many guests, insulted the memory of Ibarra fathers. Ibarra jumped from his seat, knocked down the Pat Prior with his fist, and then seized a sharp knife. He would have killed the Prior, were it not for timely intervention of Maria Clara. Ibarra attacks on Padre Damaso produced two results. First, his engagement to Maria Clara was broken, and second, he was excommunicated. The fiesta over, Maria Clara became ill. She was treated by the quack Spanish physician Tiburcio de Espadaña, who was a wife, a vain prostrated native woman, was a frequent visitor in Captain Tiago's house. This woman had a hallucination of being superior Castilian, and although a native herself, she looked down on her own people inferior beings. She added another de to her husband's surname in order to be more Spanish. Thus, she wanted to be called Doctora Doña Victorina de los Reyes de Espadaña. She introduced to Captain Tiago's young Spaniard, Don Alfonso Linares de Espadaña, cousin of Don Tiburcio de Espadaña and godson of Padre Damaso's brother-in-law. Linares was a penniless and jobless fortune hunter who came to the Philippines in search of a rich Filipino heiress. Both Doña Victorina and Padre Damaso sponsored his wooing of Maria Clara, but the latter did not respond because she loved Ibarra. The story of Elias, like that of Sisa, was a tale of pathos and tragedy. He related it to Ibarra. Elias roamed from place to place looking for a sister. He heard later that a girl answering to his sister's description was found dead on the beach of San Diego. Since then, Elias lived a vagabond life wandering from province to province until he met Ibarra. Elias, learning of Ibarra's arrest, burned all the papers that might incriminate his friend and set Ibarra's house on fire. Then he went to prison and helped Ibarra escape. He and Ibarra jumped into a banca loaded with zacate or grass. Ibarra stopped at the house of Captain Tiago to say goodbye to Maria Clara. In the tearful last scene between the two lovers, Ibarra forgave Maria Clara for giving up his letter to her to the Spanish authorities, who utilized them as evidence against him. On her part, Maria Clara revealed that those letters were exchanged with a letter from her late mother, Pia Alba, which Padre Salve gave her. From his letter, she learned that her real father was Padre Damaso. After bidding Maria Clara farewell, Ibarra returned to Bangka. He and Elias paddled up the Pasig River toward Laguna de Bay. A police boat with a Guardia Civil on board pursued them as their banca reached the lake. Elias told Ibarra to hide under the zacate. As the police boat was overtaking the banca, Elias jumped into the water and swam swiftly toward the shore. In this way, he diverted the attention of the soldiers on his person, thereby giving Ibarra a chance to escape. The soldiers fired at the swimming Elias, who was hit and sank. The water turned red because of his blood. The soldiers, thinking that they had killed the fleeing Ibarra, returned to Manila. Thus, Ibarra was able to escape. Elias seriously wounded, but then he reached the shore and staggered into the forest. He met a boy, Basilio, who was weeping over his mother's dead body. She told Basilio to make a pyre on which their bodies, his and Sisa, were to be burned to ashes. As life breath slowly left his body, Elias looked toward the east and murmured, "I die without seeing the dawn brighten over my native land. You who have it to see, welcome it, and forget not those who have fallen during the night." The novel has an epilogue which recounts what happened to other characters. Maria Clara, out of her loyalty to the memory of Ibarra, the man she truly loved, she entered the Santa Clara nunnery. Padre Salvi left the parish of San Diego and became a chaplain of the nunnery. Padre Damaso was transferred to a remote province, but the next morning he was found dead in his bedroom. Captain Tiago, the former genial host and generous patron of the church, became an opium addict and a human wreck. Doña Victorina, still handpacking for Don Tiburcio, had taken to wearing eyeglasses because of weakening eyesight. Linares, who failed to win Maria Clara's affections, died of dysentery and was buried in Paco Cemetery. The alferez, who successfully repulsed the abortive attack on the barracks, was promoted major. He returned to Spain, leaving behind his shabby mistress, Doña Consolacion. The novel ends with Maria Clara, an unhappy nun in the Santa Clara nunnery.